So when we have a fluid at rest, say in a container or in your hand itself or in a pool, what and all forces does it exert is what we are looking at. So before that, we need to recall few things. That is what is compression, tension, bending, torsion, and shear. So all these different kinds of forces, please have a look at it. Recall. Now, there are few facts that we need to know before we jump on to the actual math and the proof and everything. Fluids at rest, it cannot sustain shear stress. So if I have a shear stress, if I do this, it won't oppose per se. Or tensile stress. If I pull, again, the fluid will not any opposition. So they cannot exert such forces on submerged object. Since they cannot resist per se, they don't exert also. So this is a no-no. The only stress a fluid at rest can sustain is your normal, that is push force. Right? You're trying to compress a liquid, it will oppose that, which acts perpendicular to any surface. Thus, an object is submerged. Say we have an object that is submerged, like you yourself are submerged. The force that you experience would be always perpendicular to the surface of the object, as shown in the figure. So that figure I'll be drawing. So we have a mathematical proof over here. We'll try to prove few things. So prove that liquid at rest exert force that is perpendicular to the surface of the container at every point. Okay, so let me just take a second and draw a diagram for you guys. Yeah, I have the diagram ready, but before that I would want to make a point. That is, we will be proving this by proof by contradiction. How do we use proof by contradiction? If you guys remember, proof by contradiction has to do with, say, root 2. We're supposed to prove it's irrational. So what do? We assume that it's rational and do a bit of math, and we end up showing that it is irrational. Do you guys remember this? So this we do with the help of proof. This we prove that root 2 is irrational. We prove it with the help of proof by contradiction. So here too we will make use of proof by contradiction. Okay. So we will consider a point P on the surface of an object, for example. Now, say the liquid is technically it's not okay. Let me try drawing it here, I guess. Okay, I'll take this as point P. Say the liquid is exerting a force which is not perpendicular but at an angle. So as a reaction, what happens? It will push back, right? Say everything is at rest. So everything over here is at rest. So for things to be at rest, you need to have equal and opposite force. It should be at equilibrium. The net force should be 0. Do you guys agree? So this is the force exerted by the liquid. As a reaction, we have this. Because the fluid is at rest, right? We are considering liquid which is at rest. Means everything is at rest over here. Nothing is moving. For that condition to be satisfied, we need to have equal and opposite force. So the force exerted by the liquid and the reaction force by the block has to be equal and opposite. So we'll start off by considering a point P on the surface of submerged object. So this is point P. We'll consider that. Suppose the liquid, so we are trying to tell, exerts a force F on a small area at P in an inclined direction. So basically we're trying to tell that it's not perpendicular, it has some angle. Now resolving R, the reaction force, which has equal magnitude to F but opposite in direction. Since liquid is at rest, this has to be so, because liquid is at rest, right? For that, this condition to be satisfied, this has to be true. Okay, so resolving. So we have, oh sorry, let me, it's not the ideal way to put it across. Let me change the language. Let R be the reaction force on the liquid from the surface. It will be equal in magnitude to F but opposite in direction. Okay guys, sorry, I'm kind of scribbling, not neat work. Now let's resolve R to two components. So we have R somewhere up, it doesn't matter actually, something like this. We are trying to resolve it. So one along the vertical and along the horizontal. This is R, so this will be R sine theta and this is R cos theta. Okay, this is point P. So we have normal component, that is perpendicular to surface will be R sine theta, and we have tangential component that is parallel to surface, that will be R cos theta. Okay, so where theta is angle between R and R and in this case surface. Okay, now when you're looking at it, we know that what do we know? We know that R cos theta cannot exist. A liquid at rest cannot resist shear, so there is no this component, this cannot happen. So this goes back to our initial point. Where is it? So what I'm trying to tell is this, guys. We cannot have shear, like forces along the surface. It cannot resist shear because, see, that whole point is that liquid is at rest. Okay. So a liquid at rest cannot resist shear. So we have r cos theta has to be equal to 0 because that's our tangential component, right? And then we have r cos theta, or from here, since r cannot be 0, this implies r cos theta has to be 0. So we have this to be cos of 90 degree on comparing theta is equal to 90 degree. So what can we conclude? Force R and thus F acts only on the normal direction. So from here we can infer that force R and thus F, because R is a reaction force, it's a reaction to F. Since R cannot be tangential, it has to be perpendicular, F has to be perpendicular, right? Acts only along the normal. So this is how you can prove force exerted by fluid at rest is always normal to the surface. That statement, you guys have it already, I guess. Wait, let me have a look. Right, this statement. That's how we can conclude. So I'll just take a second now. See, what we are looking at is a liquid which is at rest. And I kept a object, it's floating around. I mean, it's there and it just static, it's not moving. Now what happens? Well, we'll assume that the liquid is acting at an angle which is non-perpendicular to the surface, a force of F. So with that assumption, what happens if I have something acting on an object? If it's not moving, means it's at equilibrium, means it is exerting an equal and opposite force as well. So we have a reaction force of R. So when we resolve the reaction force, we have R sin theta, R cos theta. R sin theta is your normal component, R cos theta is your tangential component along the surface. But we know that along the surface, water cannot handle it. If the water is at rest, it cannot handle it. It will start moving. That's what it means. That will contradict our initial statement of water being at rest. We told the water is not moving. So this is where our proof by contradiction should be used. So tangential component, a liquid at rest cannot resist shear stress. So r cos theta component has to be 0. So cos theta has to be 0, of course. So theta has to be 90 degree. So since theta is 90 degree, means what? Force R and this force F acts only along the normal. There's no other place and time it can act if it's at rest, that is. So it cannot act any other direction. That was a stupid way of me telling. Actually, I don't know what I said. Point is this, guys. That's it. That's how you prove it. Okay. So you can pause and have a look what you want to write. But proof you have to write. But yeah, in this, check what you want to write.